1928 and served in the Assembly of Justices in Vestry. Captain Rail was married to Miss Hetty, née Bodden, for 63 years. Together, they raised 5 children and were the proud grandparents of 22 grandchildren, many great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. He received his MBE in 1941, Her Majesty the Queen's Badge in 1954. In 2008, the Central Planning Authority celebrated the contributions of Captain Rail Bodden for his outstanding contributions to planning.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Another thoughtful Thursday. We're indeed thankful. We're feeling the treasures from on high. The blessings flow like a river heading to the open sea. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. His Excellency the Governor will join us at 1:15. And between now and then, let's have some open line. Let's share, let's care. Let's show compassion and concern. Now we come to you, Mr. Fox, so we go straight into the beat. You tell me, my friend, as we move our feet. Hey, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. It is open line, and let's see if what we say and do can be meaningful. And sometimes, in the attempt to always be positive and productive, we probably run the risk of people saying, well, you're not realistic. Well, you can be both, or can you not? Well, you tell me. 949-8037. If you have the Flow toll-free line, 1-800-534-8255, please use that and share your thoughts. Now, there's the WhatsApp if you want, 925-3261. And the reason why I'm saying about being positive, productive, and is it realistic? Do we acknowledge what is obvious? Do we ignore it? Do we stop and think very deliberately, give it, some serious consideration of the things that may not necessarily be as obvious to others, but for us, it's probable, quite evident. It may be things that, what if? Look, for instance, as we go into the Christmas season and we may hear from our insurance companies, from other sort of engaged service providers, and in particular, messaging from the policing authority, in that it's the Christmas season and we're going to be out and about socializing and gifting and all those things. So maybe we need to be mindful of what we do when we do it, from going to the bank, whether it's late in the evening or sometimes sadly even during the broad daylight, as we say, that we're not accosted, robbed, somehow negatively affected by the people. So put it nicely, use some of the things that we like to do in this world with the euphemisms. But I asked, are we willing to accept the changed behavior in a society where a person's safety and security is constantly being threatened, where it would seem that we're saying, well, let's not go there because that's a bad area, let's not go at this time, and we're instilling in our minds through our actions this sense of being in prison. And because we are thinking these things, then we cause our actions to actually imprison us. We no longer will walk across the car park as we did once. Some would say, well, that's sensible. You need to be safe, as it is. But are we allowing our society to get to that place where we're escorted, when ensuring that security is being hired to ensure our safety? What about being our brother's keeper? That was always smart. Just like anyone would say, if you're going fishing, if you're going diving, don't go alone. Now, should we also ensure that our society sends a very strong, convincing message that when someone does something to somebody else, that they will be sanctioned severely for it? It won't be that they can act with impunity. It won't be something that is done in secret. They will be very publicly, through a judiciary, sanctioned to the highest standards, because they have done probably one of the most egregious acts, and that is affect another person's physical safety and security, and worse, their mental anguish that is imposed upon them because of that act. But yet we seem to be okay. We'll get ourselves in the communities, we'll hire and employ some of the latest security gadgets, from the personnel to the technology, and we say, well, if we're over here, we're okay. We can go to this dining establishment, but not that one. And yet a very small space. Or we harken back to the time when, you remember, everybody went to this place and we could do it till this hour, and now we're saying, look at that, even in the broad daylight, they're robbing people. And we point fingers, oh, it's them. And them may be those who have come to our shores recently, or come because it's an opportune time, it's Christmas, people are letting their guards down. No, them is us is them. So let's not tolerate it. And the answer to some may be, well, let's give the police more guns and more power. Let's employ more, law enforcement, whether through security, private security services, or increased police presence. But what about us as the citizen? Because sometimes we actually know that the people who are committing the crimes are the person in the mirror looking back at us, or the person sitting, laying, or working next to us, or maybe not working in that sense that we believe is the 9 to 5. Now, if we tolerate that, that's a reflection on us. And if we think that the answer is to employ more policing to take away freedoms, and we complain about the traffic stops and the other sort of restrictions, well, again, that's because of us and our inaction. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you?
Very well. Blessed good afternoon to you.
Well, that's good, sir. Thank you. Season's greetings to everybody in the sound of my voice.
Well, I'd say Merry Christmas.
I will say Merry Christmas too, when the day is not far away. Another week will be there.
Is it the day or is it the season that reflects the reason? Huh? All right, man. Thank you for sharing, man.
I think it's both the season a reflection in the days of when we're good. It's always good to look back on Christmas. We don't have Christmas anymore. What we have is, I'm not quite sure what to call it anymore. But
I hear you, man. I hear you.
You know where I'm going.
Well, again, if you want to engage in that, we will. But I know you call for other things, and so we want to make sure that we listen intently to what you're sharing. All right?
Well, thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, I wanted to. Yesterday morning, I may sometimes sound like I'm aggravated, but sometimes, you know, you have to get aggravated.
It's good that we acknowledge that, right?
Yep. And I don't think that I'm one to lose my voice when it comes to speaking out, because I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in hiding behind the bush and just to appease somebody else. But I want to say a very good thank you, first of all, to those people working on the streets, cleaning the roadside, right? They are actually doing a good job, and that's really, really and truly appreciated. You can see it and know what it is.
Okay.
But what I want to do is to call out the people who are coming behind and littering and throwing the nastiness back out onto the roadways as we see it right now. They don't get one area clean before it is littered again. And it is absolutely disgraceful that we, and I have to say this, we and our import situation that we've brought in, and our government that is no longer Caymanian because it is ruled by our sister nation 180 miles east of us here. And I say that without fear or favor. These imported garbage, I don't know what to say, because I went to school over there, and I can speak from background, I can speak from knowledge, I can speak from where it is. I have seen it through and through. What we bring in here breeds it. Our people of today have seemed to have lost their values when it comes down to the morals of decent living and where it is, and being productive citizens of an island nation. We seem to have forgotten that we live here. It is all about where we can pull our pants down to and show our backside, and what we can do to run up and down the street and get a car. It's not anything else anymore. We've lost everything. Except to get out there on the street and say, well, we're going to find out who this is that we can get the next mama by or whatever, right? And it is ridiculous. Let me start with going back to the problem of our dump truck situation on this island. Years ago, I think one of the MLAs brought in some moratorium on these dump trucks. And now everybody has to have a dump truck. That seems to be where life is all about. Okay? So we're going to make a living, we're going to eke out a living from using the dump truck. Doesn't mean that dump truck cannot be used to put your garbage in when you finish, because they're one of the biggest contributors to garbage along our roadway. And I've seen it. I've witnessed it. And if you really want to see it, take a drive down where they go into the quarters to pick up material. On the other hand, there's people every single day, and you witness it, throwing their garbage out of their cars onto the road. When you look at it, and you can take joy in seeing how clean the roadsides are, you can witness what a clean island we have. We're out there, on the other hand, preaching that, and I just heard the news bulletin, something that our tourism is back up. Which tourist is going to come to this island and want to see it dirty in the way it is?
And where's the pride in those who live here to ensure that it's pristine again?
Exactly. Now, we've got a planning department, right? sure that somewhere within the planning law, there's something about you littering and you cannot mess up the place in your yard and whatever. Go through Bodden Town. I am so ashamed of Bodden Town, it's not funny. Because the people who live there are absolutely disgraceful. And I will tell them so without any blink of an eye. It is absolutely disgraceful. There's a place next to the church. Even the churchyard is littered. And you want to tell me that we have a Department of Environmental Health, we have a Department of Planning, we have a Department of Commerce, and I'm sure there is something else somewhere about littering and with these old cars and junk in the middle of a public place. Directly across the street from that is a small apartment, hotel, whatever you want to call it, condominium. And how disgraceful, how does that look? Right? And we've got people employed in these departments that can't get off their backsides and get out there and say, look, this has to be cleaned up. You've got a week to get it done, or else.
Mm-hmm.
There's no excuse for that. None. I'm just coming through North Side. And when I look at North Side, there's a place that's just been, they've just cleaned up North Side. All of a sudden, there's a whole pile of garbage thrown by the roadside again.
So let me deliberately ask, right? And I want to repeat it to make sure that I am understanding and hearing you clearly, right? You're saying that not only when there is a concerted sort of national cleanup, when we have the bulkways, or where there's this program we call NICE, and people are employed and they go out and they do this, that almost immediately after that happens, whether it's a community group, whether it's a church group, civic group, or some other corporate entity, immediately following that, we can see the garbage on the roadsides, a road that was just cleaned almost moments before. Right? That's what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, in your estimation, your best guess, your opinion, what's causing that? Is it that the stuff is just manifesting itself from out of the ground? Is it falling from the heavens? Is it the birds flying over and dropping it?
It's falling out of nasty, disgusting people who live on this little island called Grand Cayman.
Okay,
That's how it's coming.
So if that is the case,
from their nastiness, that is how it's coming, Dwayne.
Okay, so why is it?
No sweet butter, no nothing.
Okay, I want to hear your very deliberate, conscious sort of, as you said, frustration at the nastiness, right? We heard the Honorable Tourism, excuse me, Minister, share the same thing, right? So let me ask, if it's the nastiness, you're saying it's the deliberateness of people to do that, right?
Yes.
Why do you think they are so conscious, deliberately?
They are too lazy, and they have no morals whatsoever, and there's no restriction, no
enforcement,
restriction, no
enforcement,
no administration.
Okay.
Over this, right?
So let me ask, in that, do you think that there is, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this, right? Do you think that that behavior is from a perspective of resentment, maliciousness, just very deliberate to dirty up the place, to litter the place? It is coming from individuals, and I'm just going to include all of us that do that, despite where we come from, how long we've been here, our age, ethnicity, where we work, economic status, whatever the reason, right? So all of us that live here that do that. Because it can't be just one person, right? It can't be just in one district. I mean, that's something that's across the country. So is it then that those of us who do that, are we malicious? Are we resentful, begrudgeful? Are we spiteful? Is that why we're doing it? Or it's simply...
They have no pride and no thought in their whole entire upbringing.
Okay. So if that is it, how do we address that?
How do we address it?
Yes, sir.
We have to police it.
Who polices it?
That's the only way that it's gonna stop.
Okay. So who's going to police it? The actual people in police uniform that we call police officers, who we give...
I gave you three departments.
I heard you. Yeah.
Department of Environmental Health, Department of Trade and Commerce, and I'm sure there's probably a fourth one.
Okay.
Somewhere in there that's saying about the little laws and whatever, right?
Okay.
Thing about $500 for fine is stupidity.
So let me inherit you, and I think many.
That should have been abolished years ago, right? There's no highway signs even saying littering the highway or littering the road signs. If you're caught, this is what the fine is. $100 doesn't mean anything to these people nowadays.
Right.
They look at you and laugh.
Right. But you may be saying it in a way that some people wish they would say it. Some people would say, boy, you know, I like what he's saying, but I don't like the way he's saying it because he's just offensive. Put that aside for a second.
Well, I'm not saying it to be offensive. If people want to take it as being offensive, it's the facts, and that facts is what counts.
Right.
I'm not going to say something just to be offensive because somebody. I'm driving behind a dump truck right now.
Right.
His tailgate is pouring mud off it on the road. I got to move out of the way so I don't get hit with rocks.
Okay. So with that in mind, whether it's the uncovered or improperly secured loads, whether it's marl or some other aggregate, whether it's the construction debris, or oftentimes the yard clippings from makeshift trailers, or even properly seamless licensed and insured. Hopefully, they look to be that way. We don't do that. So to your point, you reference a number of agencies. Allegedly, we've heard that there is some confusion as to who is responsible for enforcing these things.
The biggest thing about that is, Dwayne, the left-hand government doesn't know what the right hand is doing.
Well,
that's long, short, and simple.
Okay, so may I submit then that
that's a laughing stock.
Yeah, that's a reflection on us, the society, and us, the voter.
Of us as a government and who we are.
Yeah, but again, if you hire, this is World Cup, and you've hired a manager, and you've got players, and at some point you're recognizing that there's an issue. Not only are you losing games, but your fan base is not necessarily no longer loyal.
You fire him and get rid of him, and you put somebody in place who's going to get the job done.
Okay, but if that manager, right, isn't replaced, as you said, or the corrections, the team, whether it's the resources, the equipment, the training, whatever it is, and you do all that, you still don't do anything about it, isn't it on the ownership, on that entity that's responsible to ensure that there's a level of accountability to bring about that thing which is your objective?
You're 100% correct.
Okay, so
we got nobody who is it. We seem to put on uniforms in this island, doing just to show off that we're wearing a uniform.
Right.
You must take pride in that uniform. You must take stature in what it is. You become a representative of your island to the highest extent.
Right.
Not because you're up there looking for pride and
yes, sir.
looking for prestige. You must. It's pride. Pride is dignity and responsibility.
So, in hearing you, again, may I consider that there are two things. We, the general populace, and in particular the voter, but the engaged citizen, must ensure there's a level of accountability. And then let's say there is an entity that's responsible for issuing trade and business licenses. You mentioned DCI, for instance, and I'm not going to pick on them, but
that's another joke.
Yeah,
all that is a farce to say that government can collect the money.
Yeah.
Anybody can go there and in 2 seconds they walk back over the lights.
Right.
That should be abandoned, because what's the use of that?
Right.
They don't do anything.
Well, again, right. I mean, since you mentioned it, I mean, let's say there was an enforcement officer or regime.
They have enforcement. They don't have no enforcement.
Yeah.
We got laws here, but nobody enforces them.
But again, it's not on us, the collective, but us.
That is on us, the collective thing. But the only way that we can get that done is what I'm doing right now. And people in like me, myself, don't open their mouth, nothing will ever get done. And the problem is that it stems a little bit deeper than this, right? This stupid thing that we've got about one man, one vote. Whoever the hell brought that up should have been shot immediately he brought it up. Because all that is, any dog, cat, or puppy in this island can get in and he's what it is. That's why we are in the position we are right now.
So let me then ask, right? Whether it's me or Mary Jean or Paul or Susan, Brian or John or whoever, right, was to say publicly, hey, just like what you said, and so now we need to change that system. Two questions. A, are you willing to say, I'm going to join that person and see if we can bring this change about? Because I think you said the word...
I would be first man to say, well, let's get around to bring this change.
Okay.
Bring this change to get us a decent selection of people to decide.
Right. And not
we are stifling. You know what's going to happen to us in 5-10 years down the road? We're going to be so diluted that there's not going to be anything, and people are not seeing that.
Okay.
We're out here creating Caymanians on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But we're not uniting.
Yeah.
We're not coming together and not being what it is.
And I hope
the diaspora from the other side is taking over. And as long as that takes over, we're going to continue to go down the drain.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that in your last comment, people heard what I thought I heard, that as we grow our population and more people become, I would say citizens, but I'm told that's not the legally correct word, is status holders and Caymanians, that we find a way to unite irrespective of how long we've been here or where we come from. That's, I think, what I'm saying. You right, or what you're saying. So I hope that's what people heard as well.
I bet you don't hear these people that obtain status or papers or documentation or island, that they will, that they have to swear an allegiance or anything anymore. There's nothing to give them.
Well, I understand that we did at some point.
What we do, once they got $500,000, they're Caymanians and we're done.
Yeah. Well, let me then maybe ask the second question. When you talk about say, hopefully we'll do, as you said you would. But in this, and I agree with you, I know that it has offended some people, and even though you don't intend to offend doesn't mean you don't. But I'm also encouraged by a number of people who were ardent proponents, very public proponents of splitting, and I use the words consciously, just hopefully it'll get people to feel a little irked, and then they'll think about it. I said, chopping the country up into little bits and pieces, right? They've now publicly said, you know what, they regret being...
They didn't want it. They say that they didn't want it to happen, but they're all happy about it.
Yeah, and some that were...
I for one, it didn't get neither X from me.
Yeah. So
and it didn't get neither X from my family neither, just something like that.
Well, I can tell you that that was probably one of the first times publicly that from this platform I said, we go to the polls the next day, I have to vote against it because I thought it was wrong. I tried to be objective and impartial and neutral, although it's not something that I think is sensible, neutrality like that, but objectivity instead. And to get chastised by some people, but in my heart of hearts, I had to go with what I thought was sensible. Fast forward 1,000 years later, and I think it was still right. So are you now saying that what we have as this, one man, one vote, one person, one vote, doesn't work? What would you want us to see instead?
Well, we need to balance this thing out and get a proper sense of what it is. We need our elections need to be a national election. The island is too small. The 50,000, 60,000 people, and you got 15,000 registered voters.
Well, probably 25,000 now, right? So
I'll call it 25. I'm not saying that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's too small. We need people who are there to get things done, understand the processes, and bring maturity and abilities to the table.
So when you say a national vote, just to make sure that there's nobody misunderstanding.
We take our 10 votes, 15 votes, whatever, to get the best out of that consortium that have put their names forward on a national level.
Yeah. So if there are, as it is now, 19 people, we go to the polls as a voter, and we can mark up to 19. We can choose one or any number from 1 up to 19 on the ballot paper, whether it's 50 people or 100 people. We go through the list and pick the ones we want. Okay, all right. That's my understanding. What I'm also encouraged by, that increasingly more people are saying that. Again, my question is, we are saying that, where are we saying it, and to what extent are we willing to action that, actually do something about it?
There needs to be more people to stand up and say, enough is enough of this stupidity that went on 4 years, 8 years ago, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and get rid of this and get people in. And we have to get people in who have the ability and are not afraid to call a spade and to stand up and know that, yes, we understand the civil service runs government, but they comply with the rules of the people that are put there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what it is. You know, this stupid thing, you know, it's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering though if we are honestly willing to find a way to see how we can build bridges and not let whatever it is that we may see as differences amongst us, and instead focus on how we can unify, as you said at the beginning, because this little space is physically small. The population may be for some too many, but it's still a small number.
Right.
I've enjoyed what you're sharing, but I have to be reminded that we have that break. Anything else you want to share with us?
Yeah, well, if you got to go to the break, I need to go find me some lunch.
Well, I should do the same thing too, huh?
I could go on talking about this.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking time.
It really gets my entire goat with this whole thing. And they talk about this thing and wasting time with traffic.
Yeah.
There's no time here to waste time with traffic. You tell these people that are coming in here to work, no, you're here to work. When you've established yourself long enough to get a car, you'll get a car. This foolishness about bringing 200 cars into Cayman Island every weekend, it's crazy.
Yeah. But it's, again, on us, the collective, right? And but thank you for sharing your passion. I hope, you know.
I know, I get passionate about it because I can see it, and if I can see it, I expect that there's others out there besides me who can see it.
Right. Well, let's see it, and let's do something constructive about it, right? Make a positive difference. All right.
Yep.
Blessings to you. Talk to you soon, sir.
Thank you.
Amen. To you too. We're going to take the callers, but we got to take this break. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad had taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab family would like to wish the entire Cayman Islands community a very Merry Christmas.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic, your life connected. They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Ho, ho, ho! Hi, kids! Santa here, letting you know that I can't wait to see you all again at my grotto at Bayshore Mall. I will be there with my friends from Kirk Freeport from Monday the 19th December until Friday 23rd. I will be there between 3 and 7 p.m. every day, except Friday, where I will be there earlier between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Along with sweet treats, Santa will have a special gift for every boy and girl this year. Merry Christmas! See you soon at Bayshore Mall. Love, Santa and everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is open line, and if you want to share a thought with us, please use the platform that is available to you. We're always willing to engage, to listen as intently as we can, to try to recognize that sometimes we should listen to understand and not always to, respond. And when we do, the idea of active listening can be taxing, but it can be instructive, informative, to ensure that not only is the person heard, sometimes validated, but sometimes, guided, nurtured, inspired, perhaps even so motivated that they direct their energy and enthusiasm, their passion, that industriousness, into a very positive way that brings about a meaningful impact on the lives of each other. I think sometimes, it seems that we are, for some reason, so afraid of our shadows that we become, fearful of our actions and any words, any deeds, or we are so, willing to hide in our own little corners that for some reason what we're trying to do never gets done because we're fearful that it may offend, but worse, that we ourselves, may be excluded from the next big invite, from that public accolade, from that thing that we believe is what we need in order to validate who we are and what we are. But if in our country, and if we are here, perhaps we should see it as our country, especially if we think that this is where we want to, be for any extended time, or if this is where our bread is buttered, causing us to not only provide for ourselves and our families now, or to what extent, from the families who are elsewhere in another jurisdiction, whether it's because that's where they're living or just residing because of education or other reasons, or if it's because ancestrally we can go back generations. We should, I believe, feel it is incumbent upon us to work to make the space that much better. It's sort of back to what the individual was sharing earlier, and that is their pride. Let me read this message that was sent by this individual who says, blessings to you and those in the radio, in the studio with you. says I have to go, along the road early in the morning to clean up along the road where I live. Or, this isn't someone who's being paid to do this. This is someone who says, along the road that I live, I get up early and I go and I clean up in that area. And I have to go along the road early in the morning to clean up along the road where I live. All because of nasty lowlifes who choose to throw their garbage out into people's yards or on the street. This is done, by everyone who just don't care. They're all a nasty set of bums. Now that may sound very offensive, and I think people are driving through, walking through, riding through, and they just toss their stuff. We need to check ourselves. Let's take this call. Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon.
And to you, a blessed good afternoon.
Thank you. I'd like to endorse the first caller on the litter subject. Up until yesterday, I expressed to someone, what I would really like for Christmas to see a litter-free Cayman. Unlike the caller, he said that he sees people throwing litter out of their vehicles, but I never seen anyone throwing litter out of their vehicles. But the litter is always there. And it's a shame that these nice people are out there now. And before they go off duty, the roads are littered where they just cleaned. It's really a shame. I'm wondering why we can't have some drive like we have for the blue spot. People are always taking photographs when people are parked in the handicapped areas and reporting them. Why can't we, people who are seeing these people littering, why can't we have some campaign to name and shame these people? It's really awful. It's not tourists. It's not the tourists I'm wanting to clean up the streets for. I want the streets clean when I drive on the streets. I want to enjoy my island. And I just endorse every word that man said, and I think that it really needs to be enforced. These fines for littering, they need to be enforced. I've never heard about any fines for littering being enforced. Thank you for allowing me to contribute to your program.
And thank you for taking that time to share as well. We're going to go to the news break, come back for some open line, and God's willing, His Excellency will be able to make a safe jaunt to our studio at 1:15 and have, as usual, a very engaging and informative discussion with the Governor. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Just spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. The Federal Reserve officially announced the new interest rate hike by a 0.550 percentage point, with more expected to come. Banks in Cayman have adjusted their rates already, and Proven Bank last week proactively paused all interest rate increases on variable rate loans until 2023 to protect its customers from the resulting unexpected expenditures around the holiday season. In international news, a fierce winter storm has left a trail of destruction across the southern U.S., devastating communities and killing 3 people in Louisiana. The weather has also left tens of thousands without power across 6 states. To the east, an estimated 11 million people in Florida and Georgia are still facing the threat of tornadoes. The storm system also brought blizzard-like conditions to the Midwest. Actor Henry Cavill has been dropped as Superman by the new bosses of DC Studios less than 2 months after he announced his return to the role. He said there were no hard feelings. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly, an experienced seaman with 30 plus years with national bulk carriers and doing ship-to-ship oil transfers off the Brac during the 1980s. He was also the founder of C&H Plumbing and a member of the famous Brac Beach Boys. During his time home from sea, he studied the art of catboat making and assisted his late grandfather-in-law, Mr. Arthur Dilbert, with the building of many catboats. Mr. Connolly loved serving in the community and was a volunteer during hurricane emergencies and assisted with the hurricane preparations, especially seeing to the safety of the elderly and the community. He would often share his fishing catch with friends and neighbors and bring Christmas gifts for the elderly. He was married to Elmitha Dilbert for 60 years and has 4 children, 5 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It is open line for a bit more, and as you know, we invite you to share your thoughts with us. It can be a very positive, encouraging, nurturing comment that you want to share. It can be, as the last callers and the gentleman prior in particular, who say, well, you know, are we frustrated enough with what is happening in our society that we're going to take a positive action? We respect, you know, the deliberate, conscious effort of the individual, whether paid or whether part of a beautification committee, a corporate entity, a civic group who will go out and clean, literally clean our roadways. But if we don't ensure that those roadways are maintained in the cleanliness state, because for whatever reason, whether it's just, you know, let me put it 2 ways to see if it'll help us to appreciate it. The ways, you may not quite understand that word, so maybe ask a friend, you know, are you a footer? And see if, you know, they get it. Or as, you know, one caller, she used to say, those old nasty ways. But a thing that should cause each and every single one of us to feel so repulsed that we don't want that. As a lady, and I say lady because I think she's a gentle lady, she wants the roads to be clean, not just for her, not just at Christmas, but all the time. We understand that cleanliness is next to godliness. We understand that cleanliness is a reflection on all of us. It certainly increases and improves the health and safety of us, from the rats and other rodents to all the things. So it should be a simple endeavor, especially when people go consciously to clean it up, for us to maintain it. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Sterling.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you today?
not too bad. Right here, thankful.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to respond to your message late last evening, but the answer is no. I have not yet received that thing which you left.
What happened? It's right in your office.
Okay. Let me make an inquiry again, but I'll let you know whether it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you were saying I just came into the car, going to work as usual.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said cleanliness is next to godliness.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if that's in the Bible?
You know, I've always thought I should try to find that. Let me see if I can find it. And I always said that because, well, you go ahead and talk and you tell me, and I'll try to see what we say.
I just when you just said it, it just struck me that we probably got over 500 churches on the island, and I would say 99.9 that people go to church. And if that is so, cleanliness is next to godliness, then the whole island should be kept clean 24/7.
Yeah, well, let me say something that I know will not find favor with many. Okay, we have many churches of different denominations. I don't think, from two perspectives, one from what I've seen as the statistical sort of analysis and just the general observation, that many of us go to church anymore, right? And when we go to church, is it more because we're socializing, we're networking? It's not for everybody. I'm not going to say a percentage, but for some of us, it's nothing more than just something we're doing religiously. We're going to this thing because we're expected to go. It's just another engagement. It's not because we want to maintain a relationship with the other members or with our higher power. We're just going because that's what we do at that appointed time of the day or the week.
I don't think so. I think it's just how you was raised, Practically everybody was raised up in the church, and who wasn't raised in the church was taught at home about, taught about God, and it was taught about God, and parents read the Bibles and all that stuff. So I haven't been to church, Sterling. I mean, in years until I just went back these last 2 Sundays. It's been years I haven't been in church. And I don't go to pop off anything that I got on or pop off to see. I just go to hear the Word of God and see if that could fulfill me and take me through the week. And, go back and get more word of the Lord to keep you going, So a lot of people go to things for all different reasons, that kind of way. Some people don't go because they don't have a new dress, they don't have a new shoe, or they didn't get their hair done. Hey, you can put the same dress on 3 Sundays a week and dress it up a bit, a jacket or a shawl or nothing on the shoulders or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that that idea, as you were sharing it, I think increasingly it is just something we do because I say religiously, but maybe people would appreciate the word habitually. It is something that we do because that is the thing we've always done, but it's no more than just an act. Probably for some, just like they sit down to have a meal, but they never enjoy the fellowship. They go take a shower, but they don't stop to really appreciate the indoor plumbing, the water, the renewing of, and the cleanliness, right?
Exactly.
And it's not, I honestly understand that even though it offends people, we need to appreciate that thing which we do shouldn't be just an act that is done unconsciously, right?
Yeah.
Maybe just like that. Oh, anyway, you go ahead.
I don't know, Sterling, if it's something in the air that everything is changing practically for the worst degree.
Up to you. No, I should apologize to you. We have this ability to communicate with our team behind the scenes. Unfortunately, just then, I was doing both without realizing that we were still talking to you. But yeah, I'm listening very intently to you, Mom.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, you see.
It's Christmas for you. You're feeling the Christmas.
Boy, I am indeed mindful of what the Spirit is and the like. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. You made me. You slipped what I was trying to say to you too. So, I guess I got to say something else. You just made me lost my conversation. You follow me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been losing each other. What we haven't.
yeah. We have His Excellency who's here, who's going to join us in a second. Yeah.
Okay. You go and join him, and you tell him that I say, leave that house right where it's at. That Downers house, not to be moved. Anything, go up 3 floors on it or 2 floors.
All right.
Don't move it. Because the Caymanians not going to get the opportunity to go there and use the beach.
Yeah.
So leave that house on the beach.
Well,
Sterling,
yes, ma'am.
enjoy.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, let's pause and let's welcome His Excellency. I did quickly have a online search with one of the search engines and heard it's an old Hebrew text from perhaps the Babylonian tracts. I didn't have my glasses on, but someone said, look in Acts 9, 32 to between Acts 10 to 23, you might find something there. All right, well, there's always something to say that we always never sure. But let's pause and take a break and have the excellent company of the governor as we return. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab family would like to wish the entire Cayman Islands community a very Merry Christmas.
CUC reminds you to always be aware of power lines. Electricity can be very dangerous. It cannot be seen, but it can be lethal. Do not loosen or come into contact with the guy wires or guy rods at the base of poles. These guy wires and rods are marked with a yellow plastic covering. Damage to these wires and rods can result in service interruptions or injuries to the public. Safety first at CUC.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from November 2nd to 10th at his Crew Road office. Clinic appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox.
The Kirk Freeport Christmas Sweepstakes is back again, and for our 50th anniversary, we are giving away $50,000 in cash and prizes. Win one of 3 $5,000 cash prizes, a daily cash prize of $1,000, the Rolex draw on January 4th, or loads of other great prizes. Every purchase of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualifies for all remaining prize draws. Win your share of $50,000 of cash and prizes in the anniversary sweepstakes. Full details on KirkFreeport.com. Merry Christmas from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. We thank you very much for joining us. And as we welcome His Excellency the Governor to the studio, may I first say 2 things to you, to the family, and to the entire civil service country. A very blessed, safe, happy, healthy, and enjoyable festive Christmas.
Well, thank you.
You know? And also to ask our people, and I'm mindful that sometimes the way I say this may not necessarily resonate with the intent. I keep saying, let's ensure that in our society, this seemingly unfettered access that we have to your office, to our premier, to our parliamentarians, our senior civil servants, and the like, that we don't take that for granted, that we do nothing that will jeopardize that sense of safety and security, to cause us as the office holder to say, you know what, to ensure my safety, I need to get a bulletproof vehicle and armed security. And I share that because I was saying to someone earlier, and they said, well, that's a bit naive. You know, we're in the 21st century. That's fitting for the office. And look at what's around the world. I thought, but wait a minute, it shouldn't be. But yet, sir, with the greatest of respect, and not to impose on you as, you know, as the office with the immense power to vest in that, look at the increase in crime. A friend last evening said, we're not going to go out tonight because I just feel unsafe. Now, I won't exaggerate his stature, but I think he's about 15 feet tall, 600 pounds, pure muscle, and just a stare from him would probably, you know, destroy the iceberg. But yet, that individual with that imposing presence feels a bit unsafe. I don't want to take my family out because what if?
Yeah.
That's not the Cayman Islands that we want.
No, it absolutely isn't. And I mean, first of all, thank you again for sort of allowing me to sort of come on the show. And I wanted an opportunity to come on before the end of the year and sort of wish everybody a wonderful festive season, and to thank Radio Cayman for everything that you do for our islands as well. But yeah, I mean, this, you know, Christmas is supposed to be a time when you know, we really look forward to it. We enjoy what's in store, and I know it's a very special time in Cayman, and the lights going up, the food, seeing friends, the sort of memories of old, and the seafarers coming back and decorating the patios with sand, all of that sort of wonderful tradition. But yes, I do absolutely understand that there is huge concern about this spate of armed robberies that we have seen in the last few months. I know that in fact the Premier, I was talking to the Premier about it this morning. He's obviously very concerned, as well as are all our parliamentarians, and I have arranged a briefing tomorrow by the Police Commissioner for parliamentarians, including opposition members, so they can get an update on what is happening. I know that the police are doing absolutely everything they can to apprehend these individuals. There seem to be a sort of fairly loose group, 3 or 4 groups of individuals, and the police do seem to have some knowledge of who these individuals are. But as you said, this isn't Cayman. This is not Cayman, and you know, relatively speaking, we are still one of the safest places in the Caribbean. Now, I, as governor, take my security responsibilities very seriously. I'm in touch with the police commissioner on a daily basis, and I know that they are doing absolutely everything possible to track these individuals down. But you know, the use of armed weapons in situations like this is shocking. It's appalling, and this isn't the Cayman that I've got to know over the last 4 years. And I would just say to these individuals that you know, the penalties for using weapons, I mean, the maximum penalty is life imprisonment. So this is really serious, and they're putting people's lives at risk in this way. So I think what we need to do now is come together as a community, everybody working together. So I think that you know, the community need to help the police with information. I think that's one of the biggest messages I could give today, is that the police are not getting enough information to help them apprehend these people. So I appeal to everyone in our community to come forward with information. If you don't want to do that directly to RSIPs, we have Crime Stoppers. That's anonymous, completely anonymous. You can give them anonymous information, and no one knows who that comes from. So I think we all have to sort of step up together now as a community and find these individuals. The police have in my time here, I've been really impressed with RSIPs at their ability to apprehend those responsible for the most serious crimes on our islands. We had a bad spate of gun incidents quite a while ago now, and there was a horrible event in bars, and an individual was killed. I mean that, but the police found the people behind that, and I am 100% confident they will identify the people behind these crimes. So really, my message is we're giving the police commissioner every support that he needs. I've asked him if he needs more, because I know the government would consider that. He believes he has the resources. He's stepped up patrolling. He's using a lot of the overtime budget to have more police on the beat, more patrol cars. The firearms unit is going around more, but they can't be everywhere. We're a small island. We're also quite a large island for a police force to be visible in every part of the island. So I think my main message is that to everyone in the community, please help the police to do their job, and then we can put these people where they belong.
Well, I thank you for making that appeal, sir, because as I shared at outset, we can't expect the police to be everywhere and do everything. We as the citizens have a responsibility, and the people who are engaged in certain activities, we know them. They're family and friends. We engage with them. Is it that we don't want to say something because of some sense of misplaced loyalty? Sadly, if it's a case, well, it's not going to be a difference because we accept that sort of mindset to be so inculcated and entrenched in the society, then that's a reflection of who we are. So let's ensure that we call it that behavior.
Well, that's right. And I think the police, they did do a press conference, and I have asked them to do another press conference because I think it's important to get the messaging out to the public. But I think the last press conference, I think the police commissioner, or maybe in the deputy police commissioner, did make it clear that these are homegrown individuals who are responsible for these crimes. That I think the police are reasonably confident on, which again underlines that message about some people in the community out there know who these individuals are, and we really need the community's help so that the police can do their job and protect everyone in our community. But I just repeat again, they are doing absolutely everything that they can. They are working incredibly hard, and they have stepped up significantly the amount of patrols and officers out there on the streets. But as you say, they can't be everywhere.
It is us. It is us who have to be personally accountable, accept the responsibility that we have a role to play. The parent ensures that the child is as safe and secure in the home, in the car, everywhere. Well, let's think of it as we're parenting our community. We're, as Mr. Art says, our brother's keeper. And it's unfortunate that, as we say that, someone's thinking, it's a naive comment, but it certainly is not only a lofty goal, but it's attainable, as it should be in a civil society.
It is. And ultimately, we are a jurisdiction governed by the rule of law, and justice will be served on these individuals who carry out these acts. They will be apprehended, and they will be prosecuted, and our justice system will do what it's there to do.
And I was questioning, and certainly not just you, the individual, but you as the officer, you so not just ably but respectfully, whole. Many of us look at the idea that as people are feeling the economic pinch, their increased unemployment, there are these things that in itself translates into an immediate increase in crime. I take a different perspective from two ways. One, the historical context of Cayman is that people were not necessarily always gainfully employed, but you didn't have the criminality. And secondly, that ethos that is in with the individual does not translate that just because you have nothing to do means that you have this this calling, this yearning to be criminally minded. And I think if we accept that that's going to be the norm, then we are again doing ourselves a disservice. Idle hands may indeed be the devil's work. But
no,
hands.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. I mean, it is clear that we. Christmas is a time when we do look after those who are less fortunate, those who may need assistance, and this is a time for all of us to recognise that and help everyone in our community. But I do recognise and appreciate this is a tough time. The cost of living crisis is very real, and I know it's hurting a lot of people because we've seen the prices of go up in the shops, and they've gone up significantly just for basic foodstuffs. So I know someone was telling me yesterday about the price of lettuce, which has just absolutely gone through the roof. Eggs, I mean, basic things are just getting more and more expensive. But I've been here 4 years. This is a very special community, and everybody supports everybody. People come out and support the community. But what we're seeing with our brothers is it absolutely is not Cayman, and it needs to stop. And we need as a community to come together and put a stop to it. And I know that lots of people behind the scenes, and I pay tribute to our police. They go out there every day, putting their lives on the line to protect us. So rather than sort of criticise them for not doing their job, we actually need to get behind them and ensure they can do their job effectively, because they are seeking to protect all of us.
And here's the irony, I think, as I listen to you, we demand more of policing, and if, for argument's sake, they decide that for their police intelligence, this particular area needs to see a higher presence, maybe some roads will be impassable for a certain period of time, we complain of that restricted freedom. But if we're not providing the requisite information and assistance for them to be able to effectively apprehend these people, then again we're suffering the consequences as a majority for the actions of a small few.
Yeah.
We can point fingers, but are we accepting responsibility?
Yeah.
It would be hard to say, I know Johnny and he's a good guy, we went to school together, but he's doing a bad thing. Are we going to condone it and turn a blind eye? Or are we going to call him out and say, you know what, maybe you just need a little bit of help and a stint away somewhere at Her Majesty's pleasure? Sorry,
His Majesty.
Yeah,
I know we all occasionally.
She was such an amazing lady. Yeah, but thank you. A friend of mine last evening said, I was talking to KC, and I had to stop and go. Then I realized, what was a QC?
Yeah.
So for more than my lifetime, I was only heard, the QC.
Yeah.
But again, that change that happens in our society needs to be a change that we embrace. One does embrace it, and one that we're not.
Yeah.
Right now is this increase in crime.
It is true, and as we're on this topic, let me just refer to the sort of drink driving issue as well, because I was pleased that government did pass the legislation to increase the penalties for drink driving, because I think we've had 15 fatalities on our roads this year, which again is a shocking statistic, which is much higher than previous years, and I think the evidence is clear that a number of those, probably a large number of those, are due to drinking in excess. So again, I appeal. This is about, again, each of us in the community acting responsibly, because we have a responsibility to everybody else to behave responsibly and not drink and drive. The Purple Ribbon campaign, which will allowing. Making sort of buses available and so that people can get home from a nice, enjoyable night out safely. Having one person who doesn't drink in a car of sort of 3 or 4 people. So we absolutely, all of us need to be responsible when it comes to this. So I urge everyone to follow that campaign, but also to drive more responsibly on our roads. I see it as well as I drive around a lot. That some of the standards of driving in our island, some of it is really very, very poor.
Appalling.
And again, we as a community we need to just not pull out in front of others. We need to look out for cyclists. We need to watch for pedestrians, and we need to just be courteous with I talk a lot about treating everyone with courtesy, dignity and respect, and that applies on the roads. Everyone else who is using the road, we should treat all other road users with courtesy, dignity and respect at all times.
And I thank you for emphasizing that, sir, because I don't think we appreciate that impact that we're having on not just the traffic flow, but our own safety, the way some of us drive. We're inattentive, not necessarily distracted by the cell phone or the radio, but just in our minds we're seemingly intent on getting to that next destination at all costs, at any speed, without appreciating that, what is it they say, better late than never, or better, never than late.
Absolutely.
It's most unfortunate. But then individual responsibility, a shared cultural ethos as to what is the expectations of each other, and to what extent are we prepared to, either through legislation, to impose those morals and mores, or are we willing through that cultural norm to say this behavior is unacceptable, irrespective of who you are. And I wonder if, for some reason, we're failing to appreciate the importance of that example that we're setting, or the failure to enforce what was once the societal norm. It's it's challenging sometimes. I honestly have to question if we're lost or are we losing, are we? But it's been an interesting 4 years for you, huh?
No, it has, and yes, and I thought you might come round to that as well. No, it's,
well, we will at some point again.
No, we will. But no, it is. I mean, people obviously know that we are sadly leaving at the end of.
We're gonna miss you.
No, well, thank you. We will miss Cayman. It's been a huge privilege to be governor here, and the sort of definitely the highlight of my career, and we've really enjoyed it, and people are coming up to me already, and I was up in Brack yesterday for the Christmas party for civil servants and retired civil servants, and people were coming up to me in the airport and sort of hugging me and saying they're thinking this is the last time they will see me, but we're still here for another 3.5 months, so it's not farewell just yet. But I am very pleased that we've now been able to confirm my successor, who is Mrs. Jane Owen. No relation to. I know you were going to ask me that. I could see the look on your face. No relation at all to a former governor.
No relation.
But I know her very well. I think she is an excellent appointment. I've known her throughout my career, and I've spent time with her in over the last 7 or 8 months as she's been sort of involved in the process of choosing the new governor. She's currently the ambassador in Switzerland. She's a diplomat like me. She's got I think a good, strong diplomatic background. She's been ambassador in Norway, I think she will be a very good governor. And she's just a very nice, down to earth, easygoing individual. And I know that she's looking forward hugely to arriving probably in April, second half of April, and Lizzie and I will sadly depart round about the sort of 29th of March.
Okay, well, I was impressed. I'm really appreciative of the FCO sharing some of the information they did. Her stint in Japan in particular.
Yes, she's a Japanese speaker. She seems to be very proficient in foreign languages.
Quite And this is, I think, where increasingly, I think as the Caymanian society, but Caymanian specific, is to start to look more at how we can be a part of the diplomatic corps, how we can appreciate the importance of language development, how we can serve that level of diplomacy within a region, and to benefit from the great expertise that's offered to the UK. We need to start to build more bridges.
Absolutely. And the Foreign Office's overseas network is there to support all overseas territories. And if there's a specific need for assistance in a particular country, they can provide that. And I think it is an exciting development for Cayman that the overseas offices are being opened. So there'll be an office in Brussels, office in Washington. And I think there's still some discussion about whether the Asia office, I think Singapore is being sort of spoken about at the moment, more than Hong Kong. But I think that is a way for Cayman to be present on the international scene and in those countries, obviously working within the sort of the framework of an overseas territory, but there is great space and opportunity for Cayman to be present on the ground, to promote financial services, to promote tourism, and to support Caymanians who might need assistance. Those officers can't do formal consular work, which is sort of legal notarial work because of the UK Cayman sort of constitutional relationship. But leaving that aside, there is a huge amount that can be done. So I think I supported the opening of those overseas offices. I encouraged London to provide the agreement for those, but it's ultimately Cayman's decision whether they then go ahead. But I think this is the way forward, and having Caymanians in those countries promoting Cayman's interests, working clousely with the British Embassy or the UK mission to the European Union. That is a win-win for Cayman, and also helpful to the UK to have Cayman there.
If I might add, sometimes you say ask a question when you want an answer. You always know what it is, but the funding and the budgeting for those offices would have to fall to our coffers. It's not something that is shared with any other jurisdiction or the UK. We underwrite those costs.
Yes,
those offices,
absolutely. Right? It's Cayman's decision to fund them.
And I think that I remember when former Governor John Owen was here and we were reinventing government. It was a suggestion that I made. You're young, you're naive, you're, some would say, impetuous and all these things, but you're full of zeal and you see things through travel or through the experiences of your forefathers who as seafarers trotted the globe. And, almost 1,000 years later, it's coming to fruition. It bodes well, not because you're trying to be an independent nation, but because you're starting to accept that there is a responsibility on you as a global citizen, as a participant in this global village, to add value. And to think that we could, through the UK's expertise, be able to have these offices that could facilitate our own students' development, our citizens' travel, but their experiences, sort of as they come back to the shore, they can provide stellar service. And this is what builds the nation.
It is. It's very important. So I was very impressed that Minister Andre Ebanks went to Brussels and spoke to the European Parliament, which is pretty tough. They're not uneasy, and the UK has plenty of experience of sessions at the European Parliament. So I think it's really good to be there on the international stage, spreading the word about Cayman's industry, getting that very positive message out, because we do have a very positive story to tell.
Indeed.
And I'll be going to New York in January. But there are some more events planned there with the sort of the industry and the financial services companies in the US, which has been an annual event for Cayman to go to New York and promote our financial services centre. COVID interfered with that a little bit, but I think we're back to normal now. And I'm very pleased to be asked to go to add a good positive UK voice, because Cayman has an excellent reputation in the financial services industry for responding to international regulation as standards evolve and continue to evolve, and I think getting on the front foot and is absolutely the right way to go. And I know we were very privileged to have the Financial Action Task Force, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, here in a few weeks ago. That went very well. I think it was excellent for us to host it here, because it exposed a lot of those international countries to Cayman and to Cayman's industry. And we started this show talking about the sort of crime situation, which again I understand is a concern. But when you speak to people who have come to Cayman for the first time from different parts of the region, they are just so impressed, almost overwhelmed by Cayman and the infrastructure, the quality of what we have here, and this compares so well to other parts of the region and other parts of the world. And I think because we're sometimes small jurisdiction, everybody knows everybody, it can feel quite sort of tense at times, and we don't step back enough and actually appreciate just how positive many things are here. Not everything. I mean, there are challenges, there are social problems, and I know there is real poverty as well in many areas of our islands. But again, we do have to sometimes step back and appreciate the positives.
And this is where, as I listen to you, some of us don't appreciate that our counterparts in the jurisdictions, even our clientele, they know they benefit from Cayman, but they've never visited. We take for granted on this end that they know where we are. They'll probably struggle to find us on a map. We're an email, more than likely will be a transaction away, but they've never come. I say that to emphasize that too many of us take for granted the safety, the security, the stability that we have here. The callers earlier who were talking about the littering, for instance, that is appalling for us because our roadways were pristine at once. But increasing over the years, it's become noticeably worse. That's on us. We have to take responsibility for that in action, in a way. But I also ask us to consider the crime. Sadly, we would say we were once crime-free, then we are low crime jurisdiction. We're relatively safe. As I hear those words, I say the familiar, almost philosopher, he's called a comedian, the late George Carlin, despite his experience, was very pensive, very deep in his thought. And he will look at words and see its import, and it's not just semantics. Are we now as a society willing to use the same terms and accept that our safety and our security has gone down, our crime has spiked, and we say, oh, well, it's safe relative to, when in fact it could absolutely be safe because we have intolerance for those behaviors. But I question again, where are we as individuals willing to work with each other to ensure that we have that outcome?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's unfortunate, sir. But as you were sharing, I was talking to Minister EBANKS before Brussels. I think he had a hard act to follow in the young lad Chad Powell Jr. That was one of the most impassioned speeches I've ever seen. It was fabulous. It was fabulous. For such a young man to sort of stand up in the House of Commons, yes, surrounded by all his sort of colleagues from the region, but also many UK parliamentarians who were there and others. No, he was that. It was fabulous. He did an amazing job. And I'm hopeful that we as a country will look at that and reflect. And if I'm misguided or perhaps a bit naive, that I'll be given proper direction to see two things. We see our young people, both here, but young people globally, who have an interest, a genuine interest. But then we have an obligation to not just nurture, but ensure that there's provision for them, just like our parents and their parents did. But by the same token, what are we doing to ensure there's a greater sense of unity within our community? Bringing together our people, despite what may seem to be differences, but we share very, very fundamental, values that are somehow being displaced, as are our people. I agree. I mean, certainly, I think Mr. Powell was outstanding. But I'd say that about many of our youth.
Yes, sir.
I
come across our youth in lots of different contexts. Tomorrow, I'm meeting two of the students who went to the climate change conference in Sharm el Sheikh. They're now back, and I'm just meeting them to find out how their experiences went. But I already did a Zoom meeting with them because they were overseas. I think the Premier did one as well. And just talking to them and to hear their passion, their commitment, their dedication to these issues, that it's always, I always find it really sort of impressive and humbling. So we have many outstanding young members of our community, and that's something to be appreciated as well.
And I hope we, as their parents, teachers, coaches, just the wider adults in our communities, would appreciate that we don't ensure that they see a sense of hope for their future, that we will not only have what has been unfortunate term over the centuries as a brain drain, as it were, and it becomes a cliche, but that we lose more than that. And perhaps, Your Excellency, as we come back from the break, certainly invite you to share as you wish. But maybe we'll talk about a few other things, huh?
Okay.
Tell me your favorite, Christmas dish. We'll find out. All right, please rejoin us after the break.
Okay. All right, brilliant.
Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab family would like to wish the entire Cayman Islands community a very Merry Christmas.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
Paramount Carpet Cayman Brac Christmas sale is back for 2 days only, Friday, December 16th and Saturday, December 17th, with 15% off in-store tiles, carpet, area rugs, paint, plumbing, windows and doors. Paramount Carpet Cayman Brac Christmas sale. It's back Friday, December 16th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, December 17th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Followed by the Children's Christmas Party at Spot Bay Park from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Paramount Carpet Cayman Brac, located at 342 Spot Bay Road. Call 948-2665.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. DWAYNE Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Planning a holiday party this festive season? Drop into Reflections Liquor for Less and discover the incredible priced better markdowns. Hundreds of fine wine from $2.99. Cases of ice cold beer below wholesale prices. Save $10 off liters of Absolute.
Exclusively at Liquor for Less, enjoy our Big Bubbly Blowout sale for your New Year's Eve celebration. Fantastic manager specials on your favorite fizz. Prices so low we can't say them on the radio. Liquor for Less, 5 locations from Soundway, Airport Center, North Church Street, Savannah, and Northside are there to serve you. Open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays.
Please drink responsibly. No alcohol beers and wine are also available, as well as gift certificates and gift wrapping. Merry Christmas from Reflections Liquor for Less.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that as our listeners, they don't see me jumping up and down. Hey, the governor's in office. The governor's in office. But it's always a pleasure, not just because of you, the person, but what you as the office represents. As I said at the outset, there are many jurisdictions where you don't have this level of safety and security, no access to your elected parliamentarians, to your senior members of your society, because it's just not what can transpire in that space. And yet, for some reason, as you shared, and the wonderful people in BRAC come up to you and give you a hug with the greatest love. You receive it, you reciprocate. We should not take that for granted, and yet we do. And I just love this place. I'm hoping that we never lose that, sir.
Yeah, no. Well, I feel that. I feel that as well. There is something special about these islands, and that's why we're all absolutely working very hard to get people behind these armed robberies, because that isn't Cayman. But it has been an incredible year, this. I mean, I was sort of trying to list for a speech I gave the other day all the various things that had happened this year. And, of course, we had very sadly the passing of her late Majesty, which was, I think we all hoped she might get to 100. But I think after the Duke of Edinburgh passed away, that obviously...
The heart is it?
Yeah, it is. And proclaiming a new king. I think going with the Premier to attend the funeral was an extraordinary occasion, and we were incredibly privileged to be part of that, and the way the overseas territories were treated was incredible as well. I think coming very clearly from Her Majesty's wishes. We were about 6 rows behind the royal family, President Biden was behind us. I'm not sure what he thought about that. We didn't ask him.
No.
But what was even nicer for me as a British diplomat was that President Macron of France was even further behind.
And now that they're not in the world, okay, I'm not going to say it, but thank you for that humor. But
but my point is that the overseas territories were given prominence, which I know will be the case when we have the King's coronation in May. I think it's May the 6th, which the Premier, and it will be my successor who goes to that, representing the Cayman Islands. But it has been an amazing year, and I we've had so many sort of things going on as we look back. But that was obviously a sad occasion, but a major highlight for me personally, just being in Westminster Abbey, attending the reception with the Premier, hosted by the King.
Wow.
And then going to the lying in state, again, a huge privilege to be able to pay our respects at Her late Majesty's coffin. So an incredible year. But so many other things have happened as well. And we had a Hurricane Ian, which sort of brushed by us. So again, we give thanks that we were spared again. We've had the 100th anniversary of Elmsley Church, the 50th anniversary of Lions. We've had the 20th anniversary of the Cadets. We had a Royal Navy ship come in after Hurricane Ian. We had an Overseas Territories Minister. I mean, there were just so many things. And the air show, I thought the air show I was so pleased that we were able to bring that back. I think credit to this new government when it came in and the idea was proposed, and they immediately thought, yes, let's really back that. I think that was fantastic, and hopefully in future years it will get bigger and bigger, and we'll see the RAF Red Arrows and the parachutists coming in as well. It was also the 70th anniversary of the first landing of a plane in Cayman, Owen Roberts. So the airport is named after. So it has been an extraordinary year, as we've also sort of left COVID behind, although COVID is still there clearly. But we are powering back on tourism. I think November was a very successful month, and I think next year I'm told it promises to be probably the most successful year Cayman has had in tourism. And I think there's a lot of positive things happening on our tourist agenda. The flight to Los Angeles, overstay to overnight tourists numbers going up very fast. So that's all very positive. And what an amazing year. But we look forward to 2023.
Yeah, amen. And I'm hoping that as a people that we start to see the importance of us working together, accepting again personal responsibility, and willingness to be held accountable if we want to hold others accountable.
Yeah.
And to, like the athlete who wants to improve the game, you have to train. You have to be disciplined. Like the student who wants to understand the subject.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other, but to future generations to partner.
Yeah, and we do. But we've also had some outstanding sort of sporting and athletic contributors. Aaron Jarvis, the golfer, who I've met a number of times now. Wonderful young man, and I think everyone's so proud of his achievements. The British Open and the US Open at his age is incredible. Just this week, I think our rugby team beat Mexico. Look at the difference in population size there. Isn't it 100 million to 80,000? Yeah. and then I think we've had the two swimmers, the Crooks siblings who've done setting national records in Australia. So, Cayman punches above its weight when it comes to the sort of sporting excellence, and it's really great to see that, because we have to find some positives amidst all this. Often the social media negativity. I think if you spend all your life reading it, it's not good for your welfare or well-being.
Not at all. And I'm so glad, sir, that you said that, because I get chided often. I abhor social media. I consciously, deliberately avoid it as much as I can, as the best as I can. And I had a challenge with a friend, and she took it up and she says, digital detox, she's going to step aside from it. And surprisingly, two things happened. As expected, she was experiencing what she would say would be akin to withdrawal symptoms. And by day 3, she felt better, because she wasn't constantly sort of feel this obligation to check everything that's
right. That's right.
And the conditioning.
Yeah.
And now I think she's at a space where she says, I can put the phone there, and if I don't check it, the world's not going to end.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really, really important point. I think we all just become accustomed to checking our phone all the time. Look, I've got it right next to me now, and
sir,
I can see when it pings. So, I certainly find, I think just taking a holiday and taking a break, it's just so important for our well-being and welfare. And I hope over the Christmas and New Year period people can get a real good sense of downtime with family and not feel they have to check this thing so often. But we do. I think it's something about democracies at the moment. That not everyone is happy with our democratic systems, and people often have concerns about it. But it is still, as Winston Churchill said, it's the best we have, having tried all the others and found that they fail or worse to that effect. And I think it's far better that we can live in freedom. We can give our views. We can give feedback. We can criticise if we want to constructively. And I think I would always prefer that than living under authoritarianism, living under fear. I think we should sometimes just cherish the way of life that we have and the freedoms that we enjoy.
What is for me encouraging, what's so beautiful, is that when we look at what is happening in England in particular, where we see civil society understanding that government needs to ensure that they not only pass but enforce legislation that would cause some people not to be able to assemble at certain times in certain places for certain reasons, but by the same token to ensure that we don't get to a space where the democracy is threatened, that the behaviors that we see happening in other totalitarian regimes become commonplace in the UK. And to see that healthy demonstration of the populace saying, we're not going to allow a government to do this thing that impedes our freedom, but by the same token, we need to be responsible citizens and to understand that your protest should not mean this violent and the like. And that healthy balance in our society comes from the populace engagement. And in the Cayman context, it is what I think has positioned us to be such a healthy place. I really welcome what we have and enthusiastically embrace what is potentially great things to come. And we know we have the news break. I know you have a pressing day. You're more than welcome to sit. We can enjoy some turtle meat, or if you have to get back to your desk.
I can do it. How long is your news break?
Was it 48 seconds? No, it's going to be about 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, I can stay until sort of 20 if that. And I'm happy to take a few calls if there are people who want to ring in.
Okay, and you know what? I would ask and invite our listeners, if you have a comment or a question. His Excellency has been, as always, very gracious with the time. So if you want to pose a question, 949-8837. Toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. And when we return, we'll continue.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The first cohort of entrepreneurs successfully completed the 2022 Launch Labs Incubator Program by Enterprise Cayman. 10 individuals completed the 12-week intensive program. The program is fully funded by CEC and is free for all participants. Applications for the 2023 Launch Labs Incubator will be accepted in May 2023. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced billions of dollars in support and investment for Africa at a summit with the continent's heads of state. The United States is all in on Africa's future, President Biden told the 49 African leaders attending the Washington, D.C. meeting. It is the first such gathering hosted by Washington for 8 years. The summit is seen as a U.S. attempt to reassert its influence in Africa to counter Chinese involvement. Elon Musk says he is taking legal action against the holder of a Twitter account that tracks his private jet, arguing it put his son at risk. The @ElonJet account, which has more than 500,000 followers, was suspended on Wednesday. Its owner, Jack Sweeney, used publicly available flight tracking information to tweet every time Mr. Musk's jet took off and landed. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us, and thanks to to His Excellency for a few more minutes. And as if you wish to not only wish a Merry Christmas, but to ask a question, please give us a shout. I think we paid that phone bill, Mr. Wall. Yeah, he says not sure, but the check is in the mail. 949-8837 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. So as we're talking, I always believe it's important to be positive, to be optimistic, but we need to be real as well. And maybe God's willing, before your departure, if we have the opportunity and honor to have you back here, as we look at the positives over the last, would we ask you now to reflect and say at that time, what are some of the things that may not necessarily be the negatives, but the concerning things? Crime, I think, is obviously something to look for. But we may look at other things that if we could do something about or wish not to get in the worst, we could maybe visit that at that time.
Sure. And I do want to sort of say there are so many positives about Cayman. We've spoken about those as well. But every country, every jurisdiction has areas where there's room to do more. The crime thing we've really discussed. I would just add that that the illegal gambling issue is a matter of huge concern, and I know that's been dealt with in Parliament, so I'll say no more on that at the moment. But it is a huge concern, and as we talk about the other crime areas, then we have to deal with the situation that we find and take the appropriate action, and listen to our law enforcement agencies who are the experts and who recommend what is needed in our jurisdiction. And we've spoken already about the sort of road safety issues. I think there is absolutely scope for us as a community to really sort of improve the issues there. I mean, the one topic that is sensitive, and I know it's sensitive, is around child safeguarding. I think that's an area that the UK has invested in across the overseas territories after that were some sort of terrible issues going on in one of our other overseas territories, so Pitcairn, many years ago, and I think we have in Cayman pulled together the MASH, the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, which is the right policy response to bring all the various agencies together to try and look at all these things holistically. But I think there are some cultural barriers that need addressing, and I think too often the people don't want to talk about these issues. The reputation of the family is more important than the welfare of the child, and I think if Cayman is going to advance as a jurisdiction, that is an area which needs evolution, needs policy evolution, needs cultural evolution, so that we can make sure we are protecting all children in our society. So that would be the one I would highlight, and I think that people are very aware of that, and I know that the MASH is doing a very good job, but you can have the mechanisms, but if you haven't got the right cultural attitudes and approach to it, you're going to have a barrier which sort of stops you making progress.
I think to that potential, it could be compounded by the cosmopolitan community that we find with many different nationalities here. That cultural ethos could be something also that we experience relative to what a certain society may expect. It is their norm, and I see that asking when we raise the age of sexual consent to 16. Is it that maybe that should be 18, 17? But if the perception in the community that behaviors of a fellow who is a few years older than a young lady, whether she's of the age of consent or not. Is that acceptable in certain societies, or a society from whom it's okay to brush against a lady, just grabbing? If those are things that we're willing to overlook in our communities, that's no different than what is it to talk about, that grooming behavior that we may have. We have to accept that these behaviors are egregious, offensive, and it should not at all, be accepted. But if we turn a blind eye to it, then that, one day becomes the accepted norm and it's commonplace.
No, that I think that's absolutely right. I mean, another area which I think is of huge concern is the Cuban migrant issue at the moment. I mean, I think we are in a crisis at the moment because of the numbers. I think I've had 350 arrive in the last few months. Is a huge number, and I think this week in Parliament some legislation has been passed which I think will help us to address this by trying to speed up the process for the asylum applications. I know that we have a good relationship with Cuba. We recognise that the situation in Cuba is very difficult. We have a Cuban community in Cayman which has been here a long time and has contributed a lot to our islands. But I think the vast majority of people who are coming illegally to Cayman are economic migrants, and I think we have a duty to our own people in Cayman to process those applications quickly and return those people to Cuba, because it isn't fair on people in Cayman that so much of public funds has to be spent on this issue for the vast majority of people who are not political asylum applicants, leaving aside how difficult the situation is in Cuba. So I've certainly been helping from a UK perspective. We've been providing training from the UK Home Office, and we remain very sort of closely involved. But this is an area of devolved responsibility. It's the Customs and Border Control who are sort of leading this within government, but many other agencies involved. But I think we are in a crisis, and we need to really step up and process these applications more quickly in line with international obligations. And we can follow UK policy, which is also, UK is having a very, very tough, challenging time at the moment with these sort of migrants coming over the channel, and tragically four migrants died in a horrible incident in the channel yesterday. So many countries are facing this issue, and I know there is a sort of growing sense in the UK that if people do arrive illegally on your shores, then there really ought not to be any recourse to asylum, because those people have come through, in the UK's context, have come through other countries where they could apply for asylum. So I think we as a jurisdiction, we just need to get quicker, more effective and faster at the processing. I pay tribute to the people behind the scenes who are doing the work. I know Charles Clifford and his team are doing a great job in very tough circumstances, but we do need to get sort of more efficient at doing this, and I am happy from a UK perspective to provide any support that is requested. But if the numbers continue to arrive on the scale we've got at the moment, we could quickly be overwhelmed. So we really do need to grip this issue and grip it as effectively as possible.
But I appreciate you referencing the British Prime Minister's statements relative to when they come in illegal, they won't be processed for asylum. They'll have to be sent back elsewhere and not be able to return. And but for clarity, there are many in the community who would say, well, this issue relative to refugees is not a local issue. It's not a devolved issue. It is for us, right? So to what extent, other than the expertise and the training and the like, is it the UK's sort of obligations, or is it all devolved to earlier local sort of law enforcement?
I mean, this certainly the responsibility for dealing with the Cuban migrant crisis is devolved to Cayman. So it's the Customs and Border Control, which is the sort of primary agency that comes under the Deputy Premier, but obviously the Deputy Governor is very closely involved as well. I mean, if the situation were ever to get so bad that there would be major questions about our security, then obviously the UK has a responsibility to provide support. But we're still we're a long way from that sort of scenario. But I think the answers to this are in our own hands here in Cayman. It's to speed up the process and return as many as possible. And I think the one change which is very important is I think the government has decided that the Cuban migrants will have to be detained going forward, because often when they've gone through the process, it's difficult to know where they are. So that I think will help to be able to, once they've reached the end of the process, to be able to return them to Cuba. And we have a very good dialogue with the Cuban government. So that aspect isn't an obstacle.
Right. With respect to that, and I'll be guided from what you shared, but responding to just general comments and perceptions within the community from two perspectives. There are those who have alleged, well, why can't we just send them on the way? They come here, we give them what they need, and if they want to continue, let them go. There are those who say, well, that's not the right thing to do, and there are those who say, well, that's what they want.
Yeah.
Is there sort of any?
I think in sort of in terms of international relations, that's a real challenging thing to do, because you're then becoming a player in illegal migration. You're actually, as a country, illegally moving migrants around. So if the other countries that then receive them, that would become quite a big issue in your bilateral relationship. Right. So it's not responsible behaviour for any country, particularly a country with a strong reputation like Cayman and governed by the rule of law, and that's really important that we do remain fully in line with our own domestic laws and fully in line with international laws, including the UN Refugee Convention. I mean, all the things I mentioned about speeding up the process would still be fully in line with the UN Convention on how you treat migrants who reach your shores. So that sounds a simple solution, but in practice it isn't. It's not the responsible thing to do, and would simply give you a bad reputation and a bad relationship with your neighbouring countries.
I think most of us would understand and accept that, but I appreciate you sharing that. So we hear it and be able to reflect on it.
Yeah.
The other comment that is perhaps increasingly being shared is that what if there is not just the Cuban refugees who leave their shore, but somehow they leave in another vessel, then they put to sea at a certain point, and then from there their passage to the BRAC or Grand Cayman is less, or a distance, or easier. Any sort of intel or concern that could be transpiring?
I think we do have some sort of evidence that has happened. Not sure how frequent or how common, but it does look as if that has happened, and that is obviously illegal, and it may well be that. I mean, that's human smuggling. It's not human trafficking. Human trafficking is where you're actually helping someone get into a country and then helping them find employment, helping them to disappear. But it is still, an illegal act, and it's contrary to international law to enable illegal migration in that way. And that would call for greater international cooperation, so cooperating with our international partners in the region, with the US, with Jamaica, with Cuba as well, and trying to spot these incidents at sea, and trying to intervene and understand who is organising this, and try and get the people who are orchestrating it. So that is a worrying development, and I think it does seem to have happened in terms of some of the recent Cuban migrants. But I wouldn't be able to say just how wide scale that is. I don't think it is that wide scale, but I think there is some evidence it may have happened.
I'm glad that you reminded us that there's human smuggling and human trafficking.
Yeah.
Not semantics, but two very distinct and important differences.
There are differences, and they're both very bad, but obviously the trafficking is a much more organised organised crime groups behind that. I mean, in the UK there are people in countries in other parts of the world who, you pay a fee to them and they will arrange your passage all the way from that country into the UK and then try and sort of set you up with employment and often it becomes human slavery. I mean, this is the tragic thing, because that people come thinking that they are going to have a good job paying good money, but what they find is that they're not paid and they're forced to work in terrible conditions, and that, that's another definition, human slavery, and tragically and very sadly in our world that is a big thing. It happens a lot, and it's certainly something the UK has had going on for many years, with quite large numbers of people caught up in it.
I think this is where we as a community, as small as we are, can recognize that we're still a large space to police but if we work together, and a number of the Cuban community have reached out and have shared that what we've seen recently isn't a reflection of who they are. It isn't what they want. They feel the plight of their own people, but not only is it a negative reflection on them, but it creates within our society a level of unsafety.
Yeah.
And maybe for our wider community, as we respond, we're not emotive, we're informed, we still have a semblance of humanity, but we respect that there's a due process and the rule of law must be followed. So hopefully, we don't lose sight of that ethos that we have.
Absolutely.
But we still appreciate that there has to be a sense of security and stability.
There does. I'm going to have to.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have to make tracks. But as ever, Dwayne, it's a pleasure to come on your show. And I don't think the listeners know, but I had the pleasure of meeting your wonderful brother, who took me out on his boat. Although I didn't know it was him.
He brought you back safely.
He brought me back safely. That's right. He taught me how to fish, which was a wonderful occasion.
Yeah.
So give him my regards. And let me say again, we don't sort of thank our media enough, but you all perform a really valuable public duty and a public role in trying to keep people informed about what's going on in our community. So thank you, and festive wishes to everyone at Radio Cayman for the great job. And I've got to know all of you so well in my 4 years.
And you still like us? Man.
Well, I still come back for more.
No, thank you, sir.
All right, but pleasure to see you. And
you have a wonderful afternoon.
I will.
Thank you for
very much.
The stellar service.
Take care.
All right, let's pause and take that break.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The MedLab family would like to wish the entire Cayman Islands community a very Merry Christmas.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Ho, ho, ho! Hi, kids! Santa here, letting you know that I can't wait to see you all again at my grotto at Bayshore Mall. I will be there with my friends from Kirk Freeport from Monday the 19th December until Friday 23rd. I will be there between 3 and 7 p.m. every day, except Friday, where I will be there earlier between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Along with sweet treats, Santa will have a special gift for every boy and girl this year. Merry Christmas! See you soon at Bayshore Mall. Love, Santa and everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us in this open line for the next 9 minutes and 15 seconds or thereabouts. 1-800-534-8255 or toll free with the kind compliments of Flo. 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp though, 925-3261. Those are the numbers you will use to either call us here for Talk Today or to join Mr. Orrit in the mornings for the record. And now he's going to take a hiatus, as I think deserved as of tomorrow to be off for a little bit. Kind of say that to remind us that it's excellent in our healthy democracy to have these programs where we can agree to disagree, we can share our different views, we can build a sense of consensus. But also, something that I know that some of you hear me say often, you think, what is he on about? But think back to our history. Think back to what Ray Banker may have reminded us on one of our COSA shows, which tomorrow we'll have the opportunity to have him and Mr. Loxley and Mr. Ezra Miller as our guests as we have that discussion tomorrow. But think back to one of the shows when we were talking about the building of the railway in Key West, and the Caymanians would come over in their catboats, and they would brave the sandflies and the mosquitoes in the swamp, and not only demonstrate a strong work ethic, a prowess, a competency, and do, if you might allow me to say, a sterling effort. And then come Christmas time, they would get into their catboats, leave the Florida Keys, come back over to the Cayman Islands, celebrate with their families, and then in the new year, sail back again to the Florida Keys to continue their work. Now that was a century plus ago. Think about maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, years ago. Christmas time, we looked expectantly, joyfully to the return of our fathers and our brothers, our sons, our uncles, to take, whenever they could, leave from their ships to be home for Christmas. And because of that celebration, that festive fellowship with family and friends, through mostly food, we had that time off. It has caused me to publicly ask us to consider what it would mean, as I phrase it, and you can term it differently, a national go slow during the Christmas period, where we're sensible and safe, we're kind and considerate of those people in our medical professions, in our uniformed services, who, because of the nature of their jobs, are expected to be at work. But we are conducting ourselves in such a civil way that the demands on their time isn't really that great. Now, there may be some of us who can remember not long ago that what is now called the financial services sector and all its glory, that if we worked in particular in the law firms and the insurance companies especially, that we would have skeletal staff for a few days before Christmas and a few days into the new year. And you as an employee may only have gone in for a few hours in the morning or the afternoon. When answering machines came in, you'd go and you'd check the machines, or there'd be someone to answer the phones, and you understood the work wasn't necessarily going to transpire in that, say, 2-week period, a few days before Christmas, a few days after New Year. What if we had that again? And what would that mean? Is it that we are now expecting 24/7, and yet we complain about the quality of life that people enjoy, the breakdown in family values, the physical impact on our very health, because we're constantly going? Now, if we had that, would we also then have not just a greater sense of health and focus and perspective as we start the new year? Would we also have a greater sense of safety? You're now understanding that as you partake of the festivity, you don't have to rush home. You don't have to worry about getting up in the morning to go to work. You are, as it was then, at your place of abode or over with a friend, and you're enjoying the festivities, late into the night, early into the morning, as those of us may have experienced, either as seafarers returning home or as their families who were serving to ensure that continued festivity. Now, some would say, well, that was then, it can't be now. Well, really? What about our Europeans who take an extended holiday in the summers? What about those individuals for whom they understand the importance of certain times of the year, setting aside that time for family? Or even for some of us for whom at a particular time of the week, for perhaps a limited time increasingly, but nonetheless the time is set aside, that we put aside our work and we break bread with our family and friends. Well, if that was a conscious effort and it was a cultural ethos, and if it was something that seemed beneficial, why not revisit it and see if it can be something that is important? And what if it translates into a society that we're no longer congesting the roads because we're rushing to get from one point to the next? We're worrying about performing at our jobs because the customers now are not expecting that level of engagement, the businesses to be open for those extended hours. Now, I'm mindful that on Christmas Eve in certain of the shops in town in particular, they were open till fairly late, even back then. But then there were extended times thereafter where you were spending time with your family. What is more important? Well, we can assess it and decide whether that is something that makes sense to reflect, what is or what was once the cultural norm. It doesn't have to change. If it was a good thing, maybe it can be embraced once again. Well, I invite you to have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the cassava cake. I certainly have to reconsider that access to the sea salt and dark chocolate, and to know what that would mean, as we sort of transition into what is afforded us going forward. But may I, as His Excellency has shared repeatedly, again ask our wider populace, once we're on the roads, whether it's cyclists or whether we're running, walking, or whether we are passengers in a vehicle of some sort, or whether we're the drivers, whether that is a driver for hire or whether we're taking our friends and family from one point to the next, please let us not drive under any influence of any drug, prescribed or whether it's illegal, if it's alcohol or otherwise. Let us ensure that we're safe, that we are as focused as possible, that we are mindful that there are things that we can do unconsciously and unconsciously that may impede or impair our judgment. And in so doing, let's also ensure that we exercise, to borrow from His Excellency's words, a greater sense of consideration, due regard, attention, and respect to how we use our roads. Not just indicating our turns, but stopping at stop signs. Not just driving within the speed limit, but being even ever more attentive. And let's understand that what we do, could not only impact others' lives, but our very own and those in the vehicle for whom we love, care, and cherish. So let's not, ignore the importance, the obligation that we have to be careful, cautious, and considerate, sensible on our roads. Please have an excellent afternoon. God's willing, join us again tomorrow for more excellent programming as we invite Ray Banker, Mr. Loxley Banks, and hopefully Mr. Ezra Miller to be a part of the final production for See What I Was Saying for this year. But start off your morning with Mr. Ord and join him for the record. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of